This is Yet Another MBA G.O.A.T, a podcast featuring conversations with the greatest of all-time MBA alumni from the Naveen Jindal School of Management at the University of Texas at Dallas. We are here to celebrate the outcomes of graduate management education and to identify remarkable examples of how the MBA program here at the Jindal School has transformed the lives of our alumni. Now, here's Lisa Shatz, Assistant Dean for the Jindal School's MBA Programs. Take it away, Lisa.
Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another MBA G.O.A.T podcast. In this episode, I chat with Jordan Pedigo, who at the time of the recording was Vice President, Senior Division Controller at BOK Financial. He has since been promoted to Chief Financial Officer at UBank. Just like so many of our students, they are moving up fast and every couple of years. Here's my chat with Jordan. Welcome, Jordan.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
It's good to see you after a few years.
Yeah. And I'm glad we finally got to get this on the book.
So you have been busy. You were busy when you were in the program. So for a little background, Jordan had little tiny kids when he was in the program. One that was born right before he came in the program. One that was born literally a couple months after you came into the program. What made you say, hey, this is a great time to get my MBA?
It's kind of funny how it all worked out. That definitely wasn't part of the plan, but it really helped me kind of narrow down my choices. Because before, I found out we were expecting, I was kind of looking at some different markets or different schools rather. And once we found out we had a kid on the way, it kind of changed things. I no longer felt secure about, stopping working and going to, uprooting and going somewhere else. So whenever we found out we were expecting, we stayed, knew we were going to stay in the area. And so then from there, it really helped me kind of focus in on the schools in the area, and it really helped me land on UTD. Because what I was looking for was some of the flexibility that the evening cohort program provided in particular. I really liked that concept. I was able to continue working and at the same time go back, get my MBA. And I felt like that was a good amount of flexibility to, start the family, continue my career path so I could pay for the new baby, as well as go back to school. So it was crazy. Learned a lot about time management, but the timing of it all worked out beautifully and allowed me to kind of pick the program at UTD that I ultimately landed on.
And the program, you came for your MBA, you also got an MS, but you are a little bit different from many of our MBA students in that you really weren't looking for a new career. It wasn't about switching. It was about making yourself more marketable where you were. So you had an undergrad in business. I think it was finance. You did the MBA with a focus on finance and accounting, and then the master's at the same time in accounting. So when I'm guessing a lot of the people in your class and in your program were all about switching, did you know from the very beginning that this was all about staying in the same field, but making yourself more marketable?
Yeah, that was definitely a big part of it. The other things I was looking for was two things really. The first was my undergrad experience was a little bit different. I transferred schools my junior year. After I figured out that I wanted to do finance, I transferred over to a different school that had a little bit better program. And then so my undergrad experience was different. I didn't have the ability to really build out a solid network or establish, some of the relationships that you normally do whenever you're kind of going through the same school for 4 years. And then the second part of it, after I transferred, I was commuting. So I missed out on a lot of the social things. So I was really looking for the evening cohort program to where you're with, I can't remember what our class was, 30 people or whatever it was, but just that kind of small group setting to where I could really get to know a lot of different people and establish the network and just really have those relationships that I felt like I missed out on the undergrad experience. And the second thing is that my career path was kind of different. I wasn't an accounting undergrad. I did finance like you had mentioned. But I found myself in a assistant division controller role. And so as I looked up the food chain, my boss had a CPA, his boss had a CPA, and our CFO has a CPA. So it became pretty clear early on that if I wanted to kind of move up the ladder, that a CPA was going to be very important for my career path. And so the other selling point for UTD was the ability to get the MBA, but also go back and get the Master's of Accounting. Some of the other programs I was looking at the time, at least, they didn't have that flexibility. So I was able to just add a few classes. I think I tacked on one class here or there as I went, and then like another semester. So I was able to fulfill all the CPA requirements along the way. So once I was done with, the MBA and MS, I just rolled right into the CPA exams and got that knocked out as well. So those were the other two big things. But like you said, I wasn't really looking to change industries. I was really looking to just kind of solidify some of the credentials and build up some of the other skills that I felt like I was lacking, in particular, some of the soft skills, like the presentation and some of the team building and stuff like that the cohort program allowed me to gain some experience in.
So now you're working with a number of people who are probably where you were back then. As you see people come up, do you see people with the same situation where, they're really good at their job, but there's that piece missing where they really need to fill it in?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've been with the same company, going to be 10 years next year. So I'm no longer, the young new person. Yeah. And it's kind of funny how that works out, but, and what I tell people if they're thinking about going back to the MBA, just really kind of know what you're looking for and don't do it just to do it. So, if you're unsatisfied with your current role and you think that getting the MBA will help you establish some of the credentials to make that industry switch, or, like me, where I felt like I had, a solid foundation, but I was looking for these particular things. So I would really encourage someone, if they felt like that, to really do some soul searching and identify what exactly they're seeking to obtain by going back and getting the MBA.
And that is great advice. I wish you were able to give it to me about 3 years before I went into my MBA program, because I was clueless. I was not only like in the average clueless bucket, I was the most clueless. I had no idea. I knew I wanted something different, and I knew that I needed more education. And in my case, boy, did I get lucky. I did my MBA hoping that one day I'd just be like, boom, this is what I love, and find exactly what my path is. And it actually happened that way. I took an operations class and I was like, this is what I want to do, and ended up in consulting. But I think I was a lucky one. I think your advice is right. You'll get more out of it if you know what you're trying to get out of it. And we work with students on kind of the incoming end to say, if you're looking at this for the next year, these are all the things you should be doing between now and then to really make sure you maximize what you can get out of the program. And so that is good advice. What's something that you remember from the program? You talked about social and really wanting to get that social piece. Did you feel like you got that? And what would your advice be to someone else who's coming into the evening cohort program to make sure that they really get that benefit? Yeah,
actually, there was 5 of us in our cohort group that we kind of progressed to the program with, and a lot of those guys are still some of my best friends to this day. So I got pretty lucky. We happened to all just sit by each other the first day, and we never kind of moved. And so we just kind of, hey, we're sitting next to each other. Let's just kind of group up, and it ended up working out really nicely. And so we ended up, going to the rec center and playing basketball and kind of having kids at the same time. And it just really worked out nicely for all of us. And the other part is, while I was in the program, I tried to find opportunities to get involved. And so there were some different open houses and different alumni things. And I think there was a couple opportunities for people that were currently in the program to kind of come out and talk to people that were considering it. So just trying to get involved with things going on and really try to leverage the relationships that you can make in there in the program. And so, I think at various points in time along the way, I managed to connect with probably 75% of the people in the cohort, like in a personal relationship. And so just really it's kind of why you're there, right? You want the network, you want to get to know people because you're in that small setting. So really just try and maximize that opportunity and try and meet and talk with everybody that you can, because you never know kind of what relationship may come out from that. And you could have your new best friend in the program, or someone that can help you along the way from a career perspective. So that was my mindset, just trying to really not go in with any type of blinders on, if you will, and just really try to be open to meeting as many people as possible. That was my mindset going in.
I do love that our students just jump in and, help where we need it, and everybody's kind of in it together. That open house that you referred to, I remember that, because out of the 8 or 9 people in my office at the time, all but 2 of us had the flu. And we reached out and said, we need help. And you and a bunch of current MBA students jumped in and helped. And that's just kind of the way things are here, whether it's us or it's a student or it's an alumni. Folks are really eager to jump in. And back in the old days, I remember when everyone was on central email, that was before WhatsApp and things like that. We'd see all the time that a student would say, hey, I'm working on question number 6 and I'm stumped. Is anybody in the building? And, 4 people would say, I'm on my way. And that's just kind of how everybody works together. And I think that's the benefit of a small program. People ask me all the time, you guys are going up in the rankings so much, you could probably fill 2 or 3 classes, the same size. Why don't you do it? We don't do it because we want camaraderie and we want our faculty to know every student. We want to know every student. We want the students to all know everyone in their class. So I think that size really kind of dictates our culture, or at least it allows us to maintain it. I'm not in a rush to make big classes anytime soon.
This episode is brought to you by the UT Dallas MBA program, top ranked nationally and in Texas. The UT Dallas MBA combines a robust core with 13 concentrations. You have an option to add a second master's degree, and your choices for that include 5 STEM-designated programs. The MBA program has full-time, part-time, online, and other formats. They give you flexibility to fit your MBA education into your busy schedule. The skills and training you will receive are what top employers are looking for. For more information, visit us online at jindal.utdallas.edu/MBA.
Is there anything that you learned in the program, or maybe something that you didn't learn that you wish you did, that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I walked away with from the program was the newfound sense of confidence in myself. A big part of my job is public speaking and, getting up in front of groups of, management teams or officer meetings and talking through the financials. And I remember being in the program, just being nervous still at that point in time to, get up and present our presentation for whatever class. But, the farther along that I went through the program, to higher my confidence in myself from a public speaking perspective increased. And so I remember that being one of the biggest takeaways, is just presenting more and about topics, that you may not be that familiar with, but the more you do that, the more confidence that you have in yourself. And that was one of the biggest things, just taking that and then applying some of those experiences to my job. And now that, I've been doing it for a while now, I just feel a lot more comfortable in myself.
We always tell students, do it here where you can make a mistake. It's a safe environment. You don't want to screw up in front of a bunch of executives. You want to screw up in front of your classmates who can give you honest feedback and let you try again.
Absolutely.
So if you could give advice to someone who's looking at MBA programs right now or going into an MBA program, what piece of advice would you give them to make the right choice?
I guess it would kind of be a repeat what I said earlier. I think really trying to understand what you're trying to do with the MBA. I think if you can clearly identify that going in, it'll make your selection process and your decision making about what you're strategically trying to do make a lot more sense. So like I said earlier, if you're doing something and you find it unsatisfying and you want to make a career change, I think the MBA is a great resource to help you get there. Like I said earlier, if you feel like you're just you're pretty well-rounded or whatever the term may be, or you want to use, but you feel like you could use some of these experiences, whether some of the softer skills or a particular experience like what you had with your operations, where you get a taste of something that you may have never experienced before, and that can light a fire. So really trying to identify what you're looking for going in, I think that will make your life easier. That way you don't end up, going through the process, not enjoying it, and not finding yourself feeling rewarded for the hard work that you're going to put in going through the MBA program.
Yeah, I tell students all the time, an exercise that they should do is go out and pretend it's 5 years in the future and you're looking for a job, and find that job that you want and pretend you're applying today. What are the holes that would be in it? So that's really what you were doing, in the sense that you're looking at your boss's job and you're saying, okay, he's got a CPA. So if you were applying that day, that would be what you were missing. I think a lot of students don't take the opportunity to do that. And I think if they did, it would be, sometimes it's really, really clear. I know this is the job I'm looking for, and I have 3 of these things, but there are 2 that I completely don't have. And that sure makes it easier to decide what you're going to try and achieve in your MBA program. I'm going to test your memory now. Who was your favorite faculty member?
I really enjoyed Riker, the finance professor.
Carolyn Reichert.
Yes, I really enjoyed her class, and she was somewhere from Europe, if I remember correctly.
Was it Maria Hassenhuddle?
Yeah, her. I really enjoyed both their classes.
Yep. So both of those faculty are still here, still teaching in the evening cohort.
Oh, great. Very cool.
What is the funniest moment that you remember in the program? Something fun or something that you look back on fondly?
I thought the Dundies, those were a lot of fun. There was like at the end of the program, the silly awards, and I remember that being pretty fun, and everybody got a kick out of going through that.
So just for the audience's benefit, the Dundies were like most likely to be CEO, most likely to get notes from you after class, things like that. Did you get any, Jordan?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was most likely to be CEO.
That's a good one.
Yeah, better than most likely to send a note after class, I guess.
Right. But that's a lot of pressure because next time we talk, I'm going to be, how are you doing on being that CEO? That was the award you have to live up to.
Oh, gosh.
So the lightning round, I'm going to ask you a series of questions and you can't think about them. You just have to say what comes to the top of your mind. What is it that you miss the most about your MBA?
Getting together with, the people in the program. And in particular, going and playing basketball at the rec center after class.
What is the most technical term you remember from your stats class?
I'll go with standard deviation. There was another term that's right on the tip of my tongue, but we'll go with standard deviation.
What adjectives would your classmates use to describe you?
Probably a goofball, goofy.
Who was the most talkative person in your class?
Justin Figueredo.
And very fast calculation. Throughout the 2 years you were in the program, how many cups of coffee did you have?
I did not drink a cup of coffee until I started grad school. Now it's a daily requirement. So way too many.
So we have that to take credit for. Not only your success in your career, not only somewhat we get benefit from your baby being born, because that was during the program, but also we created a caffeine addiction. So you get credit for all three.
That's right.
Anything else you want to say to any perspectives who are just starting this journey that you're on a while back and looking back on?
Yeah, I would just say, if you're considering it and you're strongly considering, I'd say go for it. The relationships that I've built, the networks I've established, some of the soft skills I've talked about, all those things have had such a huge impact, in my career, in my personal life. That, it's a very rewarding experience. You're going to work hard, no doubt, but at the end of the day, you're going to come out with a lot of experience and a lot of skills that you didn't have going in. And I know my time in the program was very rewarding. I felt like it was time well spent, money well spent. And so I would encourage you to go for it. And I think UTD is a great place to do it. You can look at the rankings that keep going up. Good value for here in Dallas, huge job market. So, if you're on the fence, I think, and I would suggest that you go for it.
Thank you so much for spending the time with us. It was good catching up with you, Jordan, and I'm glad your career is going so well. Thanks for being out there representing the program well. Your success just shows everyone what kind of product comes out of UT Dallas. So you're making us look good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We are so glad you could join us today and hear about the journey of Yet Another MBA G.O.A.T. For me, my MBA was truly transitional, as it is for so many of our students. If you're wondering where an MBA can take you, reach out to us and let's talk about you. Email us at mba@utdallas.edu and feel free to ask for me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Yet Another MBA G.O.A.T. podcast. Join us online at mbagoat.com to find episode notes, links, and more. Be sure to subscribe to Yet Another MBA G.O.A.T. podcast on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review. That will help spread the word about the podcast and the Jindal School's MBA programs. To learn more about the Jindal School's MBA programs, go to jindal.utdallas.edu/MBA.